Google Analytics is a great tool if you would like to analyze the data that's coming to your website. It's something that we highly recommend as it can really help you make marketing and business decisions. What we have found is three main problems when it comes to tracking. Firstly, people just don't have it in their website. Secondly, they have it in there, but it's been installed incorrectly, which leads to bad data. And as we know, bad data equals bad decisions. And lastly, everything's in place. However, the business owner does not know how to actually analyze the data. When it comes to installing your Google Analytics, we highly recommend utilizing a professional for this. However, what we are going to delve in today is going into a Google Analytics account and learning what the data can actually tell us. One of my most favorite subjects, which is data and how we can utilize data to really help us make decisions. Now, a lot of people have websites, and on this website, they actually have something installed called Google Analytics. However, either they're not aware that it's been installed, or they are aware, but they've never actually been into Google Analytics. And I understand why. It can be a fairly overwhelming program when you go into it first time. So what we're going to do today is just go through a few basics on what to be looking for. However, you might just want to start to find out if you do have Google Analytics in your website. And there are a few ways you can do this. So firstly, you can go onto your website and you would essentially need to be looking at the code to see if you'll see a tracking code. So you can actually just right click and go through to the page source. And then from here, near the top, you'll see something. I'm just going to highlight it on my side, either saying Google Tag Manager or potentially saying Google Analytics, and it will then essentially show that that tag is in place. Otherwise, just ask a developer to check if it is in place for you. I know Google also has a little plugin that you can get from the App Store, and then you can just run that app and it will also tell you whether you have Google Analytics in place. But it's probably just best just to chat to whoever maybe did the website for you. So once you know that is in place, you can go on to Google Analytics and just be careful. This is an ad over here, so just look for the one that actually is Google Analytics, so analytics.google.com. All right, so once you're in here, what you'll notice is that you would have accounts and potentially different, let's just quickly get out of this. So if you want them to send you recommendations and all of that. Okay, so I'm going into this account for the first time. And what you'll notice is you'll first have all your accounts over here that you're connected to. So I've got two. I've got one for Metis Accelerator, and then I've got one for my other website, Metis Online. And if you do have multiple websites, make sure that you do utilize different Google Analytics codes. Otherwise, all the data is going to be squashed into one and it'll be very difficult for you to analyze how each of the separate websites are doing. Okay, so we're just going to go through some basics first in regards to just the layout, and then we'll start going into the different sections of it. So firstly, as I said, over here at the top, this is where you would navigate through your different accounts or websites that you have. And remember, all you got to do is ensure that your Google account that we set up earlier has been given user access to your Google Analytics. And you just have to log in with that. Then this is your main sort of dashboard. You could customize this however you want, but I don't really utilize this too much. I prefer going into the more detailed analytics. This is your menu bar here, and we'll be going into each of this in detail in a moment. And then lastly, this is the admin tab. So like I normally say to my clients, you can't break Google Analytics. So go in and play around. But the one place that I ask them not to play around is under the admin section. What you do want to ensure though is that things have been set up correctly. So a few things that we notice quite often is that people don't exclude certain referrals. So one of the big things is if you have an online store, make sure you exclude the payment gateway. So if let's say you're using PayPal, you would want that to be a referral exclusion. And what we normally do is also make our own website domain and exclude it as a referral, so it doesn't basically tell us that we got traffic from our own website. This is where you would link your Google Ads, so then all your Google Ads data comes in here. And this is where you'd also set up your remarketing lists. And yeah, this is all the stuff that would essentially be done by the marketing agency, or if you would like to do it yourself, you would going in here and then you'd actually set up who you would like to potentially remarket to. But we'll chat about that a little bit more when we go into Google Ads. The next thing to look at is just ensuring that your settings are correct. So what I like to just do is just make sure that my country time zone is correct, because you'll be able to go into the data and see like what is the best time of the day that somebody is coming to my website. And if you're in the wrong time zone, then that will essentially give you the wrong information. You'd also like to, if you have a currency display. This is we actually don't have an e-commerce site, so it doesn't really matter, but we are pulling in Google Ads, which has a currency to it, so we'd still want it to be correct. So you can just change it over here. I like to click the exclude all hits from bots, because again, we don't want them to be bot traffic and then we think, oh, we've had 5,000 visitors to our website, and then when you take a look, it's actually maybe only 500 and the rest was just basically spam bots coming to your website. So you want to exclude that data from Google Analytics. As we said earlier, at the end of the day, bad data is also equals bad decisions. So we want to make sure these settings are all in place. The next thing that we see barely option is under goals. People actually don't have them set up. So any sort of conversions that you would want to track on your website, you would definitely want to have it set up as a conversion. So as you can see here, we've got the following set up. So if people call us from the website, if people click an email address on the website, and if people complete a form on the website, we've set these all up as goals. Again, I would highly recommend that you rather get a tracking expert or developer to set this up for you. A lot of these others are just more advanced features. I don't think you really have to worry about them, and we're not going to go into them now, as we're just going to rather run through the basics. Okay guys, so let's get started.